is this what it feels like to be Sabrina Carpenter at Coachella? Yeah. Bright lights. You can't even see the crowd. You're just like singing at them.
Now you have to do those dance moves.
I should have. I think next time I'm going to bring a computer and I'm just going to show YouTube clips of our old Nerdy Agent podcast and then go over them like Justin
Bieber.
Is that what he did?
You guys not see Coachella?
He got paid $10 million to do that.
You want to hear even crazier today? I saw a video of him rehearsing that.
No.
It was a rehearsal. YouTube sponsored Coachella. Genius. Justin Bieber went on the stage at Coachella and was looking up old videos of himself on YouTube and then singing with his old self. It was actually pretty sweet. And everybody was like, oh, that's all you did. And then there's a video of someone behind Hailey Bieber. Like they have a kid, by the way. I don't know, dancing with their kid while he was like looking up videos on YouTube, looking up videos on YouTube for his set. It was legendary. Well, and welcome.
Start over again. Do that again. Do it again. Do it again.
And welcome to the Nerdy Agent podcast. I'm your host.
No,
Luke
do it
Pedersen.
again. Do it better than that. That was like.
That's what I always do. And welcome to the Nerdy Agent podcast. I'm your host, Luke Pedersen, with my brothers and fellow nerds, Josh and AJ. It's been a minute or 3 if the minutes were months.
AJ and I got one in without you. You were
funniest Pedersen strikes again.
You were in North Carolina the last time we recorded.
I was. A couple months ago, you guys came on. We're in a new studio. Did you guys talk about the brokerage switch?
Yeah,
we did.
We did.
You did. Okay,
we covered
so
a lot of ground.
Covered all that.
Yep.
But a couple months ago, I mean, the biggest topic right now in real estate is the world uncertainty. And
Well, it's the biggest topic in interest rates.
yeah, in real estate, it's affecting it a little bit, I suppose.
Pretty
You could
much
say
in
there's
all
other things in real estate. One of the big ones I've been getting, let's side note this, is new construction. I'm doing a lot of new construction recently. And a lot of the people are asking me about, are the new construction homes built well in Minnesota?
How do you answer that question?
No, I'm
We
just.
used to- we
This
used
is
to-
what
we used
I'm
to
just.
do a-
This
a
is what I'm
question like
getting.
this, like
So
a-
this
like
is
a-
a question
like a
I
script
bet
of the
other
week.
people are probably getting.
We
So
should
I'm
bring
curious
script
what
of the
you would
week
say.
back.
So like I showed someone a 1997 in Rogers, and then I showed them a new construction in St. Michael by Lennar,
Yep.
and they were like, "Well, was the other one built better?"
Better? I don't know. It would depend on the builder at the time, right? I think the thing that I say, because I've been to other states, countries, how they build houses, the code in Minnesota is extremely, I don't know if prohibitive is the word to use, but it's really, really
Strict.
Strict,
Better word.
exactly. And so insulation quality, foundation quality, even framing is pretty high. Now, you can in Lennar and these larger national builders, one thing I like to do is on the max spans on the main floor is just jump up and down a little bit because you can tell if it has a little bounce to it. And that's all based on how they frame the basement. And so that's like when they say built better, it's like, is the Lennar house going to like blow over? Well, that's not even possible.
No.
I mean,
It's happened in other states in the United States.
and that's the thing, right? Is that
It has.
I've seen stories of Pulte and Lennar in other states where they're getting in huge lawsuits with homeowners because like the house kind of caved in or like weird stuff happening. It's just the inspectors here locally and the way that we build houses in Minnesota, it's pretty tough to skate by with a house that's unsafe.
What I would say is since the 90s, there's been changes to the materials used, which some people may like more or less. And you may look at and say the 90s materials were of a higher quality than the materials being used now.
This would be, what would be
it depends
cool?
it depends on the type of build, the price, all that.
But if you
too.
like hardwood floors, for example, that's a problem. And cabinetry maybe has changed.
Yes.
And carpet.
so I tell
level
them to look
quality.
at the finishes matters.
For sure, this would be a fun time on the video part of the portion of this to show like an overlay of 2x4s.
It's gonna be really difficult.
2x4s based on age.
Yeah.
So like in my house,
You mean 1.5 by 3.5?
I have Douglas fir 2x4s in my house. Okay. The sizing though in the 60s was the same. It was still dimensionally 1.5 by 3.5, but the color is completely different. Mine is like a dark brown, reddish orange on my existing house. My addition is like super white. It's spruce pine fir. It's a different tree. And it's also like, you could like almost like stick your finger. Like if you stick your nail into a 2x4 of spruce pine fir, you can make a dent in it. In my existing portion of my house, you almost have to pre-drill your holes in order to hang something on a stud because the wood is so hard. And the reason why is that tree was not created to become a house. It was just a tree that grew, and they were like, we could cut this down and make a house out of it. And so it grew for 50 years and grew hard and strong. Well, now they genetically modify the trees so they grow faster. And so the wood comes out significantly softer. So that's the kind of conversation I have with people often on that kind of thing is like, in Minnesota, it's really hard to build a house that's super crappy. Now, are they like trying to make it as minimum cost as possible? Yeah, sure. But that's why it's $700,000 and not $1.2 million. I mean, you get what you pay for, you know?
But the framing on a $1.2 million house is not, like the foundation's not poured differently than a $700,000 house.
No, it's just poured with a contractor who's pouring 4 other in the same day. So it's cheaper
Yeah,
and he's
yeah,
probably
they go
going
quicker.
faster.
Yeah.
The framing, yes, it is different. And I think a lot of people don't talk enough about framing because it really matters in construction because you frame one stud. So every stud's got a crown to it, right? None of them are perfectly straight. If you don't crown them, so you don't put the pushed out side or the pushed in side all the same direction, you can go into any of those model homes and I can find you at least one long wall where they did one stud wrong. And I go look down the wall and it's just the sheetrock's pushed out. Well, then what else is pushed out? The trim's pushed out. You're going to see a little jag in the wall. Well, it's because the guy that framed that house was probably 19 years old and it's the 4th house he's ever framed. The guys that came and framed my house, they have a crew. They've been framing homes together for 5 years. My walls are very straight.
But that's aesthetics too. That's not going to structurally affect anything.
It shouldn't. But yeah, aesthetically matters too, though. Like if you walk into your house and you don't like
Quality.
that, looks like
quality.
there's a zigzag snake down your wall. That that's part of it. And it's really hard to know that when you're doing it. But yeah, I've seen things in those houses where I'm like, I had a framing walkthrough and I'm like, can we please fix this?
Yeah. I have one last construction question. The one thing that I said to them today was, yes, they're likely, like they're built strong. They're going to be fine. They're in Minnesota. What about slab on grade though? We haven't been building slab on grade houses in Minnesota for very long.
Slab on grade is funny.
Not at scale. They're building a
not at
lot of
scale.
them right now.
Sure.
So the way that they're structurally built is the same way. So they're still putting a footing in. They're still building a wall. They're just not putting a full basement in.
The slabs structural on slab on grade though.
Some of the slab can be structural.
Some of them are. That's right. We've talked about this.
Most of the time, depending on the sizing and the shape of the house in a slab on grade, you actually don't need any interior structural walls. Now, if you build it longer than the max span of the max size truss, then you probably have to if you have a second story. But functionally, if you just have a rambler with a roof on it, your roof truss is going to span that entire distance.
If we do this monthly, we could probably have segments.
This is a segment.
Construction segments. And we could do that's a different topic.
It's a 4-hour podcast.
I like that.
If you want, get in
Can
our
I start
comments.
Can I start standing up like Pat McAfee?
Like we get clips out of these, right? So we can post these in little clips too,
awesome.
and I think they're good.
Well, I've had these conversations a lot in the last couple of weeks, so I want to talk about that. But let's get into last time you guys were here, you
Luke
talked about
didn't even talk about the Timberwolves yet.
what I asked. And
Every
Josh said-
podcast,
They've
you
already
also talk
won.
about-
They've already won game 1.
I'm kidding. We're going.
Josh, I asked if the Timberwolves were going to beat the Nuggets, and Josh said no, because the Nuggets have won 12 games in a row. And I said, well, that means they're likely going to lose a game soon because nobody's ever went undefeated.
Which flies in the face of your simulation conversation, right?
Why?
Because if you think that if we can recreate human consciousness, that means we're in a simulation.
Actually,
and that's kind of the same topic, right?
So
it's bound to not be true.
What
if the Nuggets win every game now? What are you going to think?
I don't know. I'm not making an opinion.
I've only seen one simulation of the NBA playoffs on TikTok, and the Timberwolves actually won the whole thing.
There we go. Anthony Edwards has scored
And he was the
45
MVP.
points in the first
Can we
game.
exist in that world? Do you want another fun fact right now that you guys probably don't know but should know?
Wow.
The best record in the American League
Oh my
belongs to the Minnesota Twins.
I know that.
I came home from practice last night and Brody was just rolling downstairs. He's like, Dad. And I'm like, what? He's like, Buxton just took another one deep. And I was like, oh,
Garrett
sick.
Crochet 11 runs in an inning in a
One of the 3 best pitchers in baseball.
They had 7 home runs in the first 5
I
innings.
saw a tweet of somebody legitimately saying the Twins are probably cheating at home. And I was like, guys, it's been 15 games.
We also don't know the names of the third baseman. I'm like, who's that guy? They're just random.
Kreidler?
Yeah,
Moneyball. Just Moneyball.
Just Moneyball.
Just got to replace the amount of hits.
Back to basketball though. I'm going to make this prediction because, and I really hope he gets a shot to play because he's been really hot lately, and I like how he plays basketball. Terrence Shannon Jr.
He's in the rotation.
Huge impact.
No, off the rotation.
He's going to have a huge impact in the playoffs.
I hope so.
He scored like 20 points in 2 of the last 3 games.
They just didn't play anyone in those games.
I know, but
everyone's sad.
He scored 35 off the bench in a game that they won. They came back and won.
Do you guys remember what I said?
At will offense.
Do you guys remember what I said after the Mavericks beat us in, what was it, game 5 or 6 to go to the finals? I looked at you guys and I said, I just don't think I'm going to be able to handle losing in the Western Conference Finals 5 years in a row.
It's only been 2.
There's always
I got
next year.
OKC in 6 over the Timberwolves, and then they are going to probably win the whole thing again. is what I got for you.
Well, Ant is he's getting
We're
older,
gonna beat
more
we're
mature.
gonna beat the Nuggets and we're gonna beat the Spurs and then we are going to lose to the Oklahoma City Thunder and I am gonna cry.
You heard
and
it
then
here
we're gonna
first.
do it again next year.
Who's guarding Jokic?
Rudy? That's
No, they put Julius on Jokic and Rudy floats.
we have a good match. We match up well against the
We
Nuggets.
do.
That's our best matchup.
Okay, we're gonna move on, but we're gonna win.
We're gonna lose.
We're
the
gonna
West
find out
Conference
Saturday,
Finals.
2:30.
At least we're not that good anymore, and the Nuggets don't matter, so we get to watch a game in the middle of the day. That's fantastic.
Great.
That's really awesome. Okay, so we're gonna talk about. You guys last time talked about the world and how that affected real estate interest rates mostly.
Yeah, we connected with, we started with kind of what's been happening since our last podcast. And so we talked about how interest rates have risen, about how the war specifically, the war had just started. And I think we're releasing the other podcasts like today or yesterday.
Yesterday.
So if you listen to it and you go, this seems like it's a couple weeks, it's still good content. So please stay with it. But the war had obviously impacted things. The war has continued to go on. What was expected initially to be a very quick thing has taken a lot more time now. There's now a bunch of oil and energy confusion or concerns, which have spiked energy prices, which obviously flow through to inflation, which obviously flow through to interest rates. So last time we kind of crystal balled, like, what do we think will be the case with interest rates into the new year? We both expressed some concern that as interest rates rise, or as energy prices rise, as inflation rises, that some of the effort going on at the Fed to get to a point where we'd cut interest rates at the Fed level, which would flow through to 30-year mortgages, is not as likely to happen. And what we've seen since that last release is almost like more concern there, right? The war has dragged on with no real end in sight now. There's been some negotiations, but they don't seem to be going anywhere. And now we're still fighting, so the energy component is going to be a very big deal to watch.
You know, recently Trump called out, I heard it on Pod Save America, he called out third-rate podcasts. I'm really hoping we get thrown in there at some point.
He's so good.
Podcast. Don't you think?
He called out third.
Should I say something
they're
like-
saying
Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly and all these like
Can you
ex
imagine?
And the Nerdy Agent podcast, these
and the
third-rate
Nerdy Agent,
podcasts.
Yeah. They don't know what they're talking about.
They should know rates are going down.
Well, yeah, I mean, so
I don't think there's a fourth rate for podcasts, by the way. So we effectively have to be third rate.
that's where we sit. So, yeah, it's I mean, since that podcast that we talked about, they reached a ceasefire apparently, but I don't think the scary thing or the weird thing is like, is anyone there? And how big is this strait? Can we see across the strait? How large are we talking? We need to figure these things out, because is there anyone there like watching? Because all of a sudden it's like, then other news reports come out and it's like, yeah, it's kind of open, but Iran's charging a toll now. And it's like, well, that wasn't part of the deal. And now they're yelling about that.
I'd imagine
Toll
there's
was in Bitcoin.
I'd
too.
imagine there's
It was in Bitcoin.
I'd imagine there's a bridge. They open and close.
I don't know. I don't think there is.
40 minutes ago, China says his blockade is dangerous.
How wide is the strait?
I'm looking it up.
Whose blockade? We blocked the strait.
So now we are blocking the strait,
Oh.
and I think we're charging a toll.
So we've gone from
How many toll stations are there?
so I'm trying to get us on that third
I
rate
might
comment,
charge
right?
a toll to get into the team meeting today. How much money can I make?
We've gone from on
It's a blockade.
Easter morning saying open the effing strait to it didn't work out. We're blocking the strait. It's 21 miles wide.
That's really wide. That's like 10 times my view across the lake at the cabin. That's a lot. Like you wouldn't see the other
The
side.
designated shipping lanes for oil tankers and cargo vessels are only 2 miles wide, separated by a 2-mile buffer zone.
And are there like boats out there that are blocking it? Like what is going on?
It's 100 miles long.
This is really interesting. What I read, it was really interesting that I read. And I don't know if I talked about this last time, but there was a financial analysis firm that provides consulting services to hedge funds, venture cap, all that kind of stuff, right? They sent a guy, I think it must have been like an intern, they sent over there. And the dude like stood on the shore and like wrote down his analysis of the strait. I don't know if he was in a boat or if he was just on the land, but like they were like, yeah, we sent a guy there. Here's what we saw happening. I was like, this is insane. They're sending their like kids straight out of Carlson School of Management. Like, you're gonna go to Iran today. I know there's a lot of bombs going on, but you're gonna check it out.
luck.
You're
Good
gonna
luck,
check it out
yeah.
for us. We've arranged your transportation.
Yeah. We'll give you a reporter badge. Good luck.
Yeah, right, exactly. So kind of wild. Like, I don't think there's a lot of like actual people. It seems like, at least from Trump and whoever's talking in our country, like, what's going on? Like, does anybody actually know what's happening over there?
I think the concern is there have been reports that they were sneaking oil through to the countries like
Been
in
doing
Asia.
that for years.
No, I know, but I think China hasn't really been that active. Russia hasn't really been that active as this has been going on. They've been kind of letting us do what we're going to do. But I think that's because their oil hasn't really been interrupted because they've been kind of sneaking it through, and they're doing it to.
How do you sneak oil through a 100-mile by 2-mile thing?
At night, they're letting passage of the ones that are going to the partners that they want
That's
to partner
a
with.
really big area.
So
The other thing is the thought process. So I mentioned Bitcoin, right? They're paying these tolls in Bitcoin, but they're also changing some of them where they're charging in Chinese currency, so the yuan. And so I think China stayed out because they actually want to see their currency get propped up, whereas the U.S. currency right now has been kind of dominating global markets. So any additional conflict, while this is not a political podcast, tends to create more political uncertainty, which could create accelerations of the war, which can create energy price rising, could create there's all sorts of
let's make
trickle down impact.
Let's make this as easy as possible. I'm looking to buy a house in the next 12 months.
Until they open the Strait, you shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
And I'm like, oh, they said the rates went up, and they're like, well, we might bomb Iran, and that's going to cause the rates to go up. Explain, or to an agent, and how if someone asks them a question about this, how can they present that in an easy way that makes them look like the expert?
I'll do the easy way first, then I'll get into another statistic that matters. So oil is in lots of things, right? And in the global economy we live in, the most important part that it's in, and I don't want to, say these other things aren't as important, but is in gasoline, right? So we have jet fuel, we have gasoline for cars, we have gasoline for trucks, you have diesel for boats and cars and vehicles. A lot of that gasoline, if the price goes up, which it has by about 50% since this opened. So we were at about $70 per barrel of oil. Now it's around $100 per barrel of oil, which is a dangerous technical point. How is Amazon going to get your stuff that you ordered to your house for the same price, right? They're probably not going to be able to. Now, those companies have all been buying. If you're a large corporation, if you're an airline, if you're a cargo plane, if you're a service like Amazon, even if you're a gas station, they buy what's called oil futures. And so they've been buying oil futures for a long time, which is setting the price at which they can buy it at a future date. Well, because of that, and I haven't done any analysis of it, because of that, you're not going to see all of the impacts of this for quite some time because the futures pricing is gone up as well, and the spot pricing is up high. And so that's going to...
far into the future do you buy futures?
You can buy them a year out, I bet. I know 6 months is a common one.
They hedge a lot of this stuff.
So they're hedging for it, right? Yeah. But if the price stays high for a long enough period of time, then at some point in time, all of those contracts come due, and when they're buying the fuel, and it was 70 and now it's 100, that raises the price of everything. It raises the price of your ticket, your airline prices. It raises the price of all the consumer goods in the country. It raises the price of the gasoline in your car, and so then you see inflation going up, right? You start to see the CPI numbers come out, and you're like, wow, we're back at 4% again. We're back at 5% again. Well, that is all blending into the decisions the Federal Reserve's making, and also blending into all the bond prices, because as inflation rises, the 10-year Treasury yield goes up. Well, there's usually a kicker from the 10-year to the actual mortgage rate, because that's a future expectation the Fed's not going to cut the rate. And so it's really, you make oil more expensive because there's not enough of it to go around, raises the price of the oil itself, raises the price of everything, creates high inflation, leads to less cutting of rates, raises bond yields, mortgage rates go up.
And oil prices increase because they're intentionally holding oil back now. It's kind of what happens too.
Well, there's also a global reserve of oil, and there's a lot of different things going on where the United States has a lot of refined oil just sitting because of cases like this, but you can't just blow through all of it because then you're in a really tenuous position.
Just know that, yes, disruptions to the world's oil economy are likely to result in increases in energy costs, which will likely cause inflation to go up, which is bad for interest rates.
Exactly.
That's the easiest way to say it.
What's interesting, though, is the producer price index came out this morning, and it was less than half of the estimated increase. So they were all thinking these high oil prices for the last month would have for sure led to March prices being bananas high.
But it's going to lead to March in 27.
It might. I don't know. I mean, they're smarter than we are, so I thought that they would probably have that a little more dialed. They estimated 1.1% increase in the PPI. It was 0.5. And it was 0.1 for core, which strips out all this oil stuff. And so it's still running at the hottest level it has in several years. I think it was 4% for a 12-month trail, but far below what they were estimating based on how tricky the situation is in Iran.
But 4% PPI is still very concerning on a year-over-year basis when the target is 2 for CPI.
Especially
Correct.
when they've been high in previous years. So they're already starting from a high number. What is the Fed saying about all this?
Well,
They're not going to cut the rates.
The Fed is going to slowball everything, especially with the new Fed chair kind of being ushered into
What's
position.
going on with the new Fed chair?
Kevin Warsh.
Not Walsh. Warsh. He was nominated before our last podcast, so we talked about him a little bit in the last one. We were surprised because he's less of a loyalist than we were expecting in that role. And obviously he's going to be put into a tough spot if and when he's not nominated and actually through. They have started the process for confirming him. It sounds like it's not going to be a problem to get him into the role. But it does seem like he's not going to be, we anticipated more of like the president would put someone in the role who would do his bidding. And this guy seems like he's maybe not going to be that way. And he's being put into a tough spot because the economy and the inflation numbers are going to basically say, you got to sit still.
Trivia question. How much is Kevin Warsh worth?
Oh, he's quite wealthy, I think.
$75 million.
Yeah, I don't know.
Around 100 million, Luke.
Yeah,
That's a
I
good
was gonna
guess. That's
say,
the
I
report.
should've just
How
said
much
100.
is Kevin
No,
Warsh's?
It's not going to release some.
What is Kevin Warsh's wealth?
Oh, what is Kevin Warsh's wife's wealth?
Good. That was a good
Are they-
seashell.
Right? Good.
Are they?
Her last name is Lauder. So if you know what that company is.
Laud. Estee Lauder. Oh, so like billions of dollars?
Nearly $2 billion. Wow. And he has so many companies. So what's interesting is when they become Fed chair, unlike apparently the government people, because they can invest in all sorts of things without any rules, the Fed chair, they still follow all the rules. It's very specific. And he has unspecified, undisclosed wealth of X amount in some companies that he doesn't want to reveal, because he's going to just divest all of his ownership instead of telling them what these companies are. So it's really interesting. There's a lot of privacy around that, but it's also like he cannot hold anything that is not disclosed. So if he gets confirmed, he must divest anything that is not on his public filing.
That's crazy that they cannot.
But also like
Congress
makes
doesn't have to
a
do
lot
that.
of sense. Oh yeah, yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, I think they're supposed to. I just don't think that they do it.
No, they can hold stocks and stuff. They're just not supposed to act on insider information.
No,
but
can
everyone
they
can see
don't
what they're doing.
But they can't. They're not required to tell us.
Stock trades? Yeah, that's how everyone gets all the access to all the trades.
There is some requirement, like for sure for the president, like you're supposed to reveal your like tax returns. I think Trump just decided he didn't want to do it.
We should look that up sometime.
I think
We'll fact check that one.
It might.
I think
it
they
might
were
be,
saying
you know.
you should do
Okay,
it.
so it might be like bunting in the 9th inning in a 5-0 no hitter.
You're supposed to.
You're not supposed to bunt,
Yeah.
right? But
I think it might be more of a rule than that. Even.
or like if you throw it at someone's head, you can expect that the other guy's going to get his head thrown at too. It's
Maybe.
baseball rules.
yeah.
So if I release a tax return, or they release a tax return, or if I don't, they won't.
I think it's
Third-rate podcast hosts don't have to release.
I think
tax
it's like
returns.
Trump. I think
I
it's like
won't.
Trump is saying, "I know it's a perfect game and there's 2 outs and we're down by 10 runs, but I'm just going to try and bunt for a hit." And then
He did.
and then he did.
And it was really an error, but he called it a hit.
Exactly.
So they're going to put a new Fed chair in. We don't think he's going to do anything because he's not going to be able to. Because the previous was he's not a loyalist, but he'll probably start.
We
cutting
thought rates would
rates.
be cutting.
Correct. Now
late
it's
last
like
year.
he's not going to be able to. Is what you're
Until they
basically
get
saying.
out of this war.
I mean,
thing.
he can do it. They can do whatever they want, but it's basically like it'd be terrible if they did.
It'd be bad, yeah, because the derivative is the wrong direction. I mean, the momentum is that the inflation is going up now. Like we had 3.5% in February on the PPI, and now we're at 4%. So we're going like up. Everything's all the inflation numbers are going to go up.
When is he being nominated to start?
It was like the May timeframe.
Yeah,
It'd
because
be
that's
wild.
when Powell's done.
It'd be wild if the war ended in that exact same time frame, wouldn't it?
It certainly would, wouldn't it? It'd be kind of convenient.
It would make sense. I mean, it'd be convenient if the war honestly ended at any point, probably. for
Yeah, I
the general public.
still think until the geopolitical stuff is
sorted.
more stable, whatever that looks like, you're not going to see a lot of positive momentum on inflation, and you're not going to see a lot of positive momentum on interest rates. So if you're a buyer right now, and we talked about AI last time too, and how that's impacting job markets and what that means too. But if you're a buyer right now, it's a comfort level thing, right? How comfortable are you with both your employment / income situation? If you feel good about that, that's great. And then how comfortable are you with the mortgage payments? right? I heard I was with the buyer and he said a lender, not my preferred lender, but another lender told him the marry the house, date
You're
the rate.
kidding.
And I about lost my shit outside. Yeah, I was so mad. I was like, I that's my least favorite line that anyone ever says because it's so irresponsible and it's so short-sighted and it's not at all something that is for sure guaranteed at any point in time,
But
especially right now.
It's super true, and it's also like it's a great time to buy, and it's also a great
Great time to sell. Yeah.
It's
if you're
both.
sellers, we're in multiples. If you're buyers, we can figure it out.
We're about to end the podcast until
Yeah.
you finish that sentence.
So, but just know, like, those are the kinds of things that right now, specifically, if you're advising people, it's how do you feel about your income and employment setup? Because if you feel like you have a stable job and stable income, that's great because you can maintain your monthly payments going forward because you feel good about your income. How do you feel about the monthly payment that the house you're looking at affords you? If you feel comfortable with those two things, it's a good time to be considering buying a house.
I'm also, and you could call it an overstep to an extent, but I'm also just at some point in the conversation letting people know that their insurance and property tax are going to increase over the next 5 years.
They have continuously increased.
So that they're not like, oh, my payment, I want $2,300. And I'm like, just so you know, like if you want $2,300, it might be $2,400.
I think I've gone
years.
from like 46 to 52.
Oh, it's insane.
It's crazy.
Insurance has
And
been
it's
nuts.
just going to keep going. And so I'm just throwing that in there. If you want to be,
It might keep going. We don't know that.
but just saying the expectation.
It has
and
been going.
I just
think
feel
it might.
like
I think it might
I've-
actually start. Going
I've
backwards.
always felt like having that approach though, buyers, and it's not a sales tactic because it's true and it's trying to be helpful, but buyers will feel like this person's in my corner.
Yeah.
Well, you're valuable.
You're really trying to help me and make sure I understand all possible outcomes. And
Yes.
I really appreciate that. And that makes me want you to work with my friends.
Two notes on that though. I do think that taxes are rising at a rate above inflation in a way that probably can't be sustainable.
Correct.
So we're getting
Insurance,
tax
though, is
reports,
gonna
and tax reports are like, your property taxes are up 8%. You're like, that cannot possibly keep
27 look pretty good. I got like 9 of them in the mail.
going. They're
for
all
St. Louis
like
Park.
6 to 8%, which is higher than inflation.
The ones I got were not. We were actually like net pretty much even. Like
I think
some
they're
of them went
jacking
down.
us on those.
but the valuations were even, but the actual property taxes went up 6 to 8%.
Well, there was a levy in the school district.
So, but I'm saying that there's a component there that I think at some point will actually slow down because it's unsustainable. The second piece on insurance, I think insurance prices and the actual cost for insurance might slow down. I think the coverage will get more limited in order to keep prices where they're at.
That's fair.
Because at some point they can't just keep going up 25% per year. It's not sustainable.
Mine, I told you guys this. Mine went to $6,500 a year on my house, which is, for those counting, about $650 a month post-tax. And I've never filed a claim personally in my entire life.
Have you paid your mortgage off yet?
No. I have a 15-year at 2.25.
I have a client.
They do no insurance. Yeah, I actually, what I did is I raised my deductible to $25,000, and mine went down to $2,700 a year.
That's wild.
Yeah. So I was just like,
we
I'll
should
just do
change
that.
ours.
Yeah, 25 grand. Everything's new. I have a new siding, new roof, new windows. I'm
If
like,
it
I don't
burns
care.
down is your biggest issue.
I'll
and
pay
if it-
25 grand.
Get a new house.
Yeah.
Yeah, which seems like that's why you need insurance anyways, because they're not going to cover your roof anymore anyways.
And it's new anyways.
So anyways, that's the conversation. But yes, you're right in that that part. But I think if you have that conversation with the buyer and you say, if you're comfortable with those things, then it's the right time to buy a house. If you're not comfortable with those things, I'm not going to encourage you to do this because I can't guarantee the rest of the stuff is going to get better.
Correct.
Exactly. Can I close it out with a sports thing that I want to talk about? I don't think we've talked about this yet. Have you guys been watching when they do the ABS stuff?
Yeah.
in
So
baseball?
fun.
CB Buckner in the first game of the season, and Eugenio Suarez came up, and it was a 1-2 count. I don't know what the result of the at bat was, but he challenged a pitch, and it was at Great American Ballpark, and all the fans went silent. He calls him strike 3, and Suarez taps his helmet. Everyone goes silent and looks up at the board, and CB Buckner has to turn around and be like, he doesn't say it like this, but he has to be like, he thinks that what I said was wrong.
Yeah.
And he has to turn around and do that into a microphone and look at a camera.
You don't have to say anything; they just show the board.
No, CB Buckner has to turn around and be like, the batter is challenging the pitch. So
Oh,
he's
they do
saying
say
like,
that.
I might be wrong. Let's see.
Yep.
And then you have to stand there. You're the only guy that made the call, and you have to look and see if you were correct or not, with 45,000 people screaming. And they look up and they're like, ball. And then everybody goes, yeah, it goes crazy. Now it's 2-2. Next pitch.
It happened again.
Happened
I know.
again. And the
I
second
think-
one was really bad. And he turns around and he's like, oh, shoot, I have to do this again. And you can see the look on his face.
I think he
And
got-
then he goes, ball. He just like was like, no.
I think he got out. But
It was so funny.
it was, I saw
What's
that
the
clip.
the
Can
biggest
I
miss
have a
on the
question.
ABS?
I have a question. No, I have a question for you. Opinion. If it's 1% of the strike zone, is it a strike?
It shouldn't be, but it is.
You don't think so?
They're calling them. It's like,
Yeah, no, you don't think it is?
if it clips the zone.
I mean, they're like, I don't know. I think that corner is way too lenient.
That must be the rule in the rule book, is that if it hits or if it laps over at all, it's just like tennis, where if the ball hits any part of the line, it's in.
I'm just saying, you don't think it should be.
I think the actual zone is different than the zone they draw. I mean, the outside boundaries are actually not the strike zone. The inside boundaries are more the strike zone. But
I think that it should be, yes, because otherwise, how else are you going to police it? It can't be the whole ball in the zone.
25%. You go 25% or 50%.
No, you have to have it be all or nothing.
It's got to be all. It's too hard.
That's fair.
Otherwise, it would show on the screen and be like 23%, and everyone would be like, "What happened?"
Because they wouldn't know.
That's the problem. And I think if the whole ball is in the zone, the batting averages go up to 100 points.
They're already going
It'd be
up.
100 points.
Are they going up because of it?
League ERA is up to 4.1.
I had another one. Who was the pitcher that there was a pitcher that in an interview said, "This, I don't like this because back in the day, the seasoned pitchers got more calls than the new pitchers, and I want to get more calls."
Chris Sale?
I don't know.
He had a conversation about this. Yeah.
I also don't like that we are somewhat. I like the way they did it, that it's only like 2 missed calls a game, because then you can't just do it the whole game.
I agree. Yep.
But it does remove a lot of the art of framing pitches, which I actually think is a part of baseball that's pretty important in my opinion.
Too much of the game gets swung though on bad calls. My biggest miss on it is, well, you're fine with the 2. It should be 3 strikes and you're out. Why would it not be 3 missed challenges? Why 2?
Oh, because it's more baseball.
3 strikes and you're out.
I think they probably determined that it takes like a 1 minute per challenge. And
it takes 12 seconds. It's like he taps his helmet, and it's like 12 seconds later they show it, and then the next pitch is thrown. It literally is like not at all disruptive to the game.
I just thought it was really fun.
I would love to see the stats on who is like the best challenger. At
the catchers.
Outside, yeah, for the catchers.
But the hitters are like actually like 40-some%. They're below 50%. The pitchers were similar, and the catchers are like above the line.
That makes sense.
Because they know the zone the best.
So the umpires overall, the umpires know the zone the best.
Pretty well.
That would make sense.
Yeah. The best is when...
I don't know if that would make sense, because if you stuck like Joey Votto as an umpire, he'd probably be better than the umpires.
Joey Votto's incredible, though.
Not from that angle. It's a way
maybe
different angle.
not. But from
That's all they do.
But you would think that Joey Votto would be better than an umpire if you stick him back there on challenge. If it's a ball or
my favorite part about it is that
he's really good.
That's one guy, though.
There have been discussions and debates over umpires forever, and players whine and cry and moan, right? And now it's like all the umpire, like I've seen this where a guy is like walks away upset after strike 3, and the umpire just taps on his head. It's like, go ahead,
challenge it.
Go ahead.
You didn't like it?
You've got an option now.
Yeah, I like it. No,
so
I
there's
think it's
accountability
good for
on both
I think
sides.
It's good for baseball.
It's great.
I think it's good for baseball.
Interesting.
That's all we have this week on the Nerdy Agent Podcast. And as always, remember, be better.